That's the sweet sound of frigid air to help us make it through this Texas heat. But if you experience issues with your AC and are sweating inside of your own home, you need an honest and locally owned company to make those repairs. Now, I know of a place which is not only locally owned, but veteran owned too. Honest AC and Plumbing prides themselves on their handshakes and their quality of work. If you live in North Austin or in any of these northern suburbs of the ATX, give the boys at Honest a shout. Be sure to tell Floyd, Will, David, and the staff you're a loyal Stories Inside the Man Cave podcast viewer and follower.
Much has happened since we were together last in this venue for Media Day last year. In fact, some of you will recall that I said at the time that I thought our board was as aligned as I had seen them during my 10 years with the Big 12. It was, I think, 8 days later that OU and Texas announced they were going to the SEC. So you can take my assessment of calm waters for what they're worth.
Wow. Bob Bowlesby, he's bowing out as commissioner of the Big 12 Conference. Yeah, Big 12 football media days kicked off on this beautiful Wednesday, depending on what day you're seeing this episode. But yeah, day one, Bob Bowlesby, you could sense a little bit of, you can read it several ways. The guy is done. And a new commissioner steps in, and, Bob Bowlesby criticized a lot, but let's be honest. He took over a situation in the Big 12 that was not ideal, dating back to the whole fiasco when Baylor and TCU one of the teams should have made the playoff, inherited a situation with a pending grant of rights, TV rights essentially on the horizon of expiring. And then let's face it also, when Missouri, Colorado, and Texas A&M bolted from the Big 12 to other conferences, and as well as Nebraska, A&M to the SEC, that was the beginning of a really active situation to which we are experiencing currently, and that is the big, constant, ever-evolving conference realignment as we see. It's all for the mighty TV dollars, if you will, but the Big 12 seems to be moving in the right direction as far as adding programs, and here we are. We're a little over a month and a half away from, I'd say about 5-6 weeks away from the college football season kicking off, and in one of my favorite events, it always was, been to about 14, 15, maybe 16 of these Big 12 football media days. They're fun. It's all about what you make of it. And, of course, the coaches at the podium rarely deliver good sound bites, compelling, but it's the stories with the players. And here we are, recapping day one here on Stories Inside the Man Cave. And, by the way, it's sponsored by Honest AC and Plumbing. Those guys based out of Hutto, Texas. They serve North Austin, Hutto, Georgetown, Cedar Park, Round Rock, Pflugerville, Cedar Park, as I mentioned. And, of course, Leander. Those guys are legit, old school, meaning they value that handshake. And there are some AC outages, unfortunately, for friends, family. Call Honest if you live in those locations. So let's get this thing kicked off. It's going to be a short episode, but the preseason favorites, the Baylor Bears. Yes, they are preseason favorites for good reason. Of course, Oklahoma State came very close, literally close inches away from beating Baylor at the Big 12 championship game last December. But Baylor held on, got the victory. Dave Aranda has done a fabulous job of turning that program around. But one thing about Baylor, I honestly feel, even though they have a great team, they're going to miss Joey McGuire, the Texas high school football coaching great. Got it just like it's a trend. Texas high school coaches like Jeff Traylor and Joey McGuire, now head football coaches on the big stage. But Joey, Baylor, they're going to miss him. Joey McGuire took over as the head football coach at Texas Tech. And Dave Aranda, who is a class individual, he truly, just watch. He's just a classy guy. And Aranda, the defending Big 12 champion head coach, talks about Joey McGuire missing that piece on that coaching staff.
I have a lot of respect and admiration for Joey. I think, as an assistant coach, was very hardworking, was a great teammate to all the rest of the coaches, was, a hard worker, is very well respected, especially in the state of Texas. I would lean on for advice and for guidance at times. And so I have a lot of respect for him. And I wish him all the best at Tech. And, there's some folks there on that staff that were with us, a year ago. And, they're friends of mine. And, with the exception of one game, man, want them to get them all.
I love that. Pure class right there. I honestly believe that Baylor will be a great team this year. And they're preseason favorites for good reason. At least they were, of course, in the media preseason poll. But Joey McGuire added energy. He is an energetic guy, great recruiter, well-respected in the Texas High School Coaches Association. It'll be interesting to see that dynamic. I don't know if we'll see it this year as much, but when you lose a key piece of energy like that on your coaching staff, I mean, Baylor has a great staff. There's no doubt about that. But Joey McGuire will be missed. And I want to go and throw this out there. A lot of people are overlooking Texas Tech right now. What they really needed was an infusion of energy and organization and kids who want to play for that staff. Don't underestimate Tech this year. I'm not saying they're going to contend for the Big 12 championship, but I want to go and throw it out there. Texas Tech bowl eligible this year under Joey McGuire. I'm going to say it, 6 to 8 wins for Texas Tech. Now, the 52-year-old head coach, I'm 52 now, that being Mike Gundy up in Stillwater, Oklahoma. Amazing job that he has done since 2005 or 6, really has made Oklahoma State relevant. Of course, he was asked today not only about conference realignment, he did say something derogatory about how maybe Texas and OU, because they're probably not going to be in the Big 12 for maybe 1 or 2 more seasons. Why does Texas and OU, why are they even here? That's what Gundy talked about. Maybe they shouldn't be at Big 12 media days, but I don't know. I think that's a little far-fetched. But Gundy showed up with a lot of wave. The mullet looked really good this year. I mean, he had a little bit more of a style to it. Gundy asked about the future of Bedlam now. OU and OSU, one of the better rivalries in college football. The future of Bedlam now that the pending move now, which is on the horizon, OU moving to the SEC with Texas. What's going to happen to that game, and how is this all affecting with the Big 12 having a new look in the near future? How does that affect Oklahoma State's recruiting? Well, Gundy and that amazing mullet, this is what he had to say as Brian Davis from the Austin American-Statesman, a past guest of Stories Inside the Man Cave. Well, he teed it off with this question.
What do folks in Stillwater think about Oklahoma's move to the SEC? How has that affected your recruiting with an SEC school trying to recruit the same players you want to go after? And what do you envision of the future of Bedlam going forward?
Well, the future in Bedlam is a year or 2 left. I mean, that's the future of Bedlam, based on somebody else's decision. Recruiting for us hasn't really changed a lot. It's interesting with young people now. I'm not sure. You might be able to take a poll of the top 250, 300 recruits in the country and ask them if they know. For example, you could throw out what conference is Purdue in or what conference is Wake Forest in, and I would say there's about a 50% chance they might not even know what the conference is.
Valid point. Valid point. A lot of the current recruits, they are, they know of the blue bloods, the Texas, the OUs, the Michigan, Ohio States, USC, LSU, Alabama, Georgia, even Penn State. I'm missing a lot. I know I am, but those are the guys. And even Miami, even though they've been down for quite some time, just like Texas has been. But recruits know about those programs, and they do carry weight when they receive an offer. I mean, look at some of the programs when they offer a recruit, including Texas. Well, magically, their star value increases. But to Gundy's point, yeah, I don't think if you ask just a recruit, I don't think they're going to tell you that Wake Forest is in the Atlantic Coast Conference. I don't think a lot of people have that common knowledge, the recruits, but his whole point being that about the Big 12, I think he's right. Oklahoma State's brand, when you look at him, Gundy's will be his first victory of the year will be his 150th career victory at Oklahoma State. That's an amazing, amazing accomplishment for a program like Oklahoma State that, T. Boone Pickens came in at the right time. Oklahoma State has a brand. I mean, they were playing for a conference championship this past season. And so the point being that they do have a big enough brand, enough swagger, if you will, enough pull that when you do receive an Oklahoma State offer, it does mean something. So I agree with Gundy on that. And as for the future of Bedlam, listen here. That is awful. I worked in Oklahoma City in the media there for a good 6 years. That's going to hurt the state. And it's going to hurt the state in many ways. And it's going to, I hate to see it. It's a great game, dominated by Oklahoma. But OSU has really, here in the last 10, 15 years, has won more games against Oklahoma than if you look at it, the amount of wins, it was almost like once a decade, once every 15 years, or maybe less than that, before the resurgence or the building of the OSU program under Mike Gundy. So that's where they stand. Hey, speaking of, before we move forward and wrap things up, be sure to follow and like Stories Inside the Man Cave on all the social media platforms, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and on YouTube. They're all there. It just helps us and helps this podcast continue to grow and continue to do accomplish some goals that I have for this podcast moving forward. Hey, I thought the best interview, and we're not going to hear from him, but I thought it had to be this guy. Yeah, Deuce Vaughn.
Headman to North Dakota State. Here's Deuce Vaughn. Nice move. Touchdown, K-State. Little shoulder shimmy, freedom, and he takes.
Yeah, Deuce Vaughn from right here in the Austin area, the Cedar Ridge High School, the pride of Cedar Ridge High School. Amazing, amazing young man. We had him on here at Stories Inside the Man Cave. I think it was in December. Check out that podcast episode. Great interview, great kid, great family, and an amazing football talent. He's like me, vertically challenged, but the guy plays big. Relentless work ethic. The guy, I think, stole the show at Big 12 Media Days, day number 1. Just a tremendous interview, well-dressed, represents K-State in the best way imaginable. Deuce Vaughn, an All-American last year. An All-American. The kid is fun to watch, extremely fun to watch, and he'll be entering his junior season. Barring any, I hope it doesn't happen, any injury or setback, the kid will be an All-American again. He's a tremendous running back. And also, don't sleep on K-State. I know I just said that about Texas Tech. Texas Tech and K-State, two teams to watch, but K-State, I think, has a legit chance to contend for one of the spots in the Big 12 championship. You heard it here. I said it. I said what I said. Hey, tomorrow, day number 2 of Big 12 Media Days at Cowboy Stadium up in Arlington, or AT&T Cowboy Stadium. The Horns and Sooners will highlight that. Of course, it's going to be a lot of fun to hear from Brent Venables. First time as a head coach at his first Big 12 Media Days. And, of course, Steve Sarkisian, year number 2. It's going to be fun. Well, that's why they saved OU in Texas, or Texas and OU here in Texas. Save them for the last day because you don't want to just blow it out on day one. But there's going to be a lot of great storylines, those two exiting for the SEC. Of course, you've got a new quarterback at Oklahoma, the whole changing of the guard, a lot of players leaving, going to USC with Lincoln Riley, including Caleb Williams. And you've got to transfer in a quarterback at Oklahoma. It's going to be fun to watch and see and hear from the Sooners and Brent Venables, of course, Steve Sarkisian and the Longhorns. There's so many storylines, including Bijan Robinson. He and Deuce Vaughn, two of the best running backs in the country. Would be really fabulous to see those two for the Heisman presentation in December. Hey, real quick, a segment that we love. It's from our sponsor. Yeah, manscaping in the man cave time, and it's all about manscaped.com. And I rave about this latest product, the Ultra Smooth package. It's shaving care for down there. And I know people love this line, I guess, because nobody, any significant other of ours as men, they don't want us resembling the German Black Forest below the belt. And this is one tool or package, as manscaped.com has done a fabulous job creating all kinds of tools to use to keep our body hair-free or trimmed, or, you got to trim the hedges. We don't want them looking wild. Keep those hedges clean. This one, shaving in the shower, crop exfoliator, then the crop gel. It's a clear groin shaving gel, if you will. And then this razor, man, I love it. It's small, hard to reach spots, as I just dropped it on the floor, but it is a small razor. I like it personally. You don't need a long razor to do the do, so to speak. So go to manscaped.com and get the Ultra Smooth package and use this promo code right here, ManCave20, for 20% off of your order from manscaped.com. So that's a wrap on this special episode, Stories Inside the Man Cave, Big 12 Football Media Days, man. It's exciting. Big 12 Championship. We're in month number 7, 5 months away from crowning, or less than 5 months, crowning another Big 12 Football Championship. Crowning another Big 12 football champion, that is. So, I'm Sean Clench, of course, and for the OG Man Cave boys, that being Hardball Hards, Big Mike, and Coach Mo, we are out.